Hey everyone, how you doing? This is Amon Green, Green Bay Packers all-time leading rusher, and you're watching Packers Total Access Live, your daily source for Packer content. Go Pack, go!
What's up, guys? Welcome into Packers Total Access. My name is Clayton. You can check us out on packernet.com. Find me on Twitter at Packers_access. Join alongside Tim in Green Bay. We get the big dog back with us. I'm in Tennessee. We're here to talk Packers. Broncos got an awesome show for you guys and gals. I want to thank everybody for all the interaction today. Channel has been on fire. Everybody's smashing that like button for us, hitting sub, all that good stuff. Thank y'all so much. So what we're going to get into tonight, final injury report plus the Vegas line. We'll show where the money's at on the Vegas line, whether you're a gambler or not. We just like to show that because it typically gives you an indication of how the game may go in that regard, or at least where the sharps are seeing the game going, right? Then we're going to jump into the PFF preview, our offense against Denver's defense, and then our defense against Denver's offense. We'll show you all the playmakers, all the guys that you want to kind of keep an eye on as we get into the ball game. Everything kicks off there at 3:25 Central on Sunday. So that's what we're going to do tonight. If you guys would, before we get into it, do that YouTube stuff for us. Hit like, hit subscribe, click that bell icon so you're notified when we go live in the future. If you're new here, welcome. Thank you for tuning in to PTA. Thank you for making us a part of your evening. Just a little disclaimer. We're not experts. Surprise. We're not media members. We're not journalists. We're not any of that. What we are fans just like you out here talking Packers on the daily. So if you're looking for that type of content, make sure you hit that subscribe button and click the bell icon so you know whenever this crappy little show does go live. Tim, man, it's good to have you back, bud. How you doing?
Man, glad to be back. Let's talk some ball, Clay. Love it.
I'm excited about it, man. Let's jump into the injury report first. We got the final injury report and just some notable pieces to this report here. Obviously, questionable for Sunday's game. Josh Jacobs, who was back at practice today, limited. I think that was a good sign that they're probably just trying to hold him back as much as possible. He plans on playing Sunday. I would be very surprised if he doesn't go on Sunday. Of course, it does come back to whether or not that knee, the swelling in the knee goes down, obviously. Lucas Van Ness, questionable. Savion Williams, questionable. And Christian Welch, questionable. I believe today they were trying to get him out of concussion protocol. I imagine he is officially out of concussion protocol, although the questionable tab leaves things a little bit, blurry in that regard. Now, listed as out for the Packers, Brenton Cox Jr., Marshawn Lloyd, and Colin Oliver. So immediately the conversation steers toward Marshawn Lloyd, and the reason being, Tim, if I understood correctly, he had the hammy. That was the problem, right? The hamstring was always the calf he hurt the hamstring earlier in the year. That put him on IR along with a couple other injuries, right? And then he hurt the hammy, then he hurt the calf. He goes on IR, and now the hammy is back on the injury report. So I don't know how you feel, Tim, but I've kind of got to the point where Marshawn Lloyd, they probably just need to shut it down for the year. I mean, if this is indeed a new injury here that's kind of popped up, and you guys let me know in the chat if y'all have heard something otherwise. That's the way I'm reading into the injury report here. As you can see, they've got it in bold there with the hamstring, meaning it's new. So it wasn't there yesterday to the best of my knowledge. So he's out. Colin Oliver out, no surprise there. And, of course, Brenton Cox Jr., no surprise there. They're continuing to ramp those guys up. They like to ramp them up for that full 21-day window before they make the decision, it seems like. So other than that, though, Tim, I mean, those guys aren't even on the active roster, right? They're just designated to return with the practice window open. Everybody on the active roster practiced today, which is, I think, a great sign. I think there's a really good chance that we see Lucas Van Ness this weekend, and we're probably going to need it, man. They got a stout running game over there in Denver. But how do you see this injury report here, like I said, with those just the notable parts of it, I guess?
I guess when it comes to, Marshawn Lloyd, I'll use our disclaimer.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
In the words of Tupac LaFleur, so eloquently put, I'll tell you one thing. You want to know how I feel about Marshawn Lloyd? I feel for Marshawn Lloyd right now because – the level of talent that he possesses is undisputable, but you can't make the club in the tub. We said it 1,000 times. I don't think it's a knock on him. He's probably done everything possible to try and get back multiple times, but the writing's on the wall. Obviously had some kind of a setback anytime you're limited and then you're, not participating. So I'm going to say a prayer for Marshawn Lloyd. And keep in mind, I mean, he's a young player, so there's no telling how he comes out of this on the other side. But I highly doubt we're going to see much of him, down the stretch here. But as far as the rest of the questionables, LVN, yeah, I'd love to see him back on the field, especially if he's over the hump and good to go. And then, Christian Welch, Iola Zone, Mr. Wisconsin himself. Hopefully he's officially clearing the protocol as we speak, and we'll get some more information on him. And then, yeah, Josh, I'm with you. I think Josh is going to try and go, like you said earlier today, suit him up, put him out there. If he has any kind of tweaks or anything, pull him off the field and, let the rest of our boys do what they do. I have full faith in Emmanuel Wilson, especially in a revenge game scenario in Denver. Give him the rock and let him do his thing. And, same thing with Savion, right? Particularly Josh, LVN, and Savion, you're all talking about, feet and knees and, lower extremity type of injuries. If they're working back and they feel like they can go, I say put them out there and then just have a contingency plan in case, you have a setback or anything. But yeah, what can you say, man? Brenton Cox Jr., he's been fighting to get back all year. Colin Oliver, this has been since training camp. What can you say about those guys? I'm hoping we get at least one of those two down the stretch. Maybe a return from Brenton Cox Jr. in the next couple of weeks. That would be great. But I think it's probably a wrap for Marshawn Lloyd and Colin Oliver on the year at this point.
Yeah, I agree, man. It sucks. And shout out to Chester Marco with gifting 5 Packer Fan Total Access memberships to 5 live viewers here. Thank you so much, Chester. We appreciate you, buddy. And yeah, with Marshawn Lloyd, it's tough. It's a tough situation. Nobody's surprised either. It's just he's been kind of just it's bad luck, really. Yeah. I mean, he was a hard runner in college. You didn't look at the tape and go, oh, no, this guy's going to get hurt a lot, right? He was a physical runner. He was someone who seemed to stay on the field based off of the information I had. I'm not saying he's never had an injury. I'm sure he's had his share at college as well. But nobody, I don't think, kind of seen this coming with Marshawn Lloyd. You look at him, he's a specimen. And that's what Matt said his rookie year, early on here was – in the process. I remember him saying, look, it's not like he ain't taking care of his body. This dude is in great shape, probably in better shape than anybody else in the locker room, right? So it just sucks, man. It does. And listen, this has happened to – there's been a lot of great football players throughout the history of the National Football League who never really had a shot to showcase how good they are because this type of stuff's happened right off the bat. It just sucks, So
I agree.
All right, so moving over to the Denver.
Oh, sorry, Clay. Especially with running backs. I mean, we talk about Josh with the knee, the nagging knee injury and everything. Anything, below the waist for a running back is, it can be devastating. It really can. You'd almost wish Marshawn Lloyd had an elbow injury or, a shoulder injury or something, compared to what he's been dealing with the calf and the hammy. So just feel for the kid. We really do.
Yeah, Jen Wright here says, I think they might add Lloyd to the 53 for the playoffs. I think it's possible, Jen, but I don't know. I just I don't feel like this is a part of the plan here, right? And that's what makes me think like there's got to come a point where you go, okay, let's just shut it down for the year. Maybe they won't, though. Maybe they won't, and maybe that is the plan, Jen. You could be correct there. If I had to guess one way or another, I would say no, probably. But I hope you're right because, man, when we have seen him on the field in preseason, he looked like the fastest guy on the field. He looked like the most twitched up guy on the field. He really did. He was. I remember being really, really impressed with the minimal snaps he had. Anytime he got the ball, anytime I just remember that wheel route where it was like, holy cow, that dude got shot out of a cannon. It was great hands down the sideline, absorbed a big hit, held on the football. Unfortunately, that's a play that got him hurt too, but. We'll see, though. We'll see. On the Denver Broncos side of things here, really, really simple. Nate Atkins, full participation, so he's good to go. That's a tight end for them who's battling a knee injury. Pat Bryant, their rookie wide receiver, Wookie wide receiver, do you like that, is listed as out.
He's a Wookie?
Yeah, exactly. I did it all for the Wookie. So Bryant, rookie wide receiver with the hammy, did not participate all week. He is out for sure.
He was from Illinois, right? He was on our draft board, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah. We I want to say we had him around the 115, 120 mark, something like that. So pretty solid prospect. Sucks for him getting off the kind of a same type of start that Marshawn Lloyd has, where he can't really stay on the field. And then DJ Jones, defensive tackle, he's good to go. Full participation with that ankle all week. Mike McGlinchey, tackle with the shoulder injury. He had no status Wednesday and Thursday. Friday pops up with a shoulder injury, it looks like. That don't seem right. I thought I seen him on the injury report all week. I think that you guys correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but I want to say that's a typo. I thought he was on the injury report all week. Maybe he wasn't, but nonetheless, he did not participate Friday, and now he's listed as questionable. And then Ben Powers is obviously got that 21-day practice window open as well. He is listed as out. They went ahead and shut that down, his chance of coming back this week. Not that that would have been a huge addition, but, man, you'll see here in a minute when we break down our defense against our offense, their offensive line is solid. They are stout. Yeah. Mike McGlinchey's one of those players for sure. So, all right, moving along now. Before we wrap up this segment, I want to hit on this Vegas line, more or less the money, Tim. The line really hasn't moved at all, but you can see the money really settling in. You guys know we've been talking about how when 60% or more of the public money is on one side or the other when it comes to betting on the spread, the books have owned the public. So I like to kind of key in on where's the public's money against the spread, and that'll usually give you a good indicator of what chances you've got of team covering the spread or maybe not covering the spread, if that makes sense.
So me and his money.
So we're sitting at still at 2.5 points, Tim. The Packers are still 2.5 points, 2.5 point favorites on the road. PFF has it closer to that at 1.9 point favorites. So about a half a point, a little more than a half a point. Less, I guess you could say the Packers are favorites. We had it at 3 points on our PTA power rankings and our grading system. However, 69% of the money, 69% of the public's money is on the Broncos plus 2.5. You love to see that. You really love to see that because, again, the books have been owning the public. It doesn't mean this could be the 1 or 2 games that the public loses this week, right? Or actually wins this week, I should say. So, again, it's just you'd rather be on this side of the fence than the other, like we talked about last week, obviously. So that's where the money is settled in. Now, the money line, obviously, those statistics don't apply, but just for reference purposes, 60% of the public money is on the Packers to win outright, and 51% of the tickets are on the Broncos to win outright. Also, going back to the spread, we said 69% of the money was on the Broncos plus 2.5. 72% of the slips, the bets themselves, are on the Broncos as well. So this is lining up really, really nice for the Packers, the same as it did last week going into the Bears game. So is there anything you want to add there before we move on, Bob?
Yeah, just looking at the over-under on points, 42.5, I think that's pretty reasonable. But there is a big part of me that feels like these are 2 damn good football teams.
Oh, they are, man.
And, I almost want to take the under there. I'm not a sports bettor, but this could very easily be like a 30 points or less type of game. You could see a 17-10 or something like that type of game. So it's going to be close for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. All right. So there you go. Just a quick little preview, if you will, the injury report and the betting line. Again, I think things are setting up really, really nice for the Packers to be able to go out there and take care of business. Now, again, like you said, these are 2 great teams. It's going to be a hard-fought battle. We want to hear from you guys in the comments. If you're watching this video back later, let us know in the comments how you feel about everything we just covered, the injury report, Mike McGlinchey being added to it. Maybe if you got some other information, you're watching this later, fire it into the comments. Keep us informed on what you're hearing on the injury front there as well. Let us know what you think about Marshawn Lloyd. And make sure you hit subscribe, click the bell icon so you're notified when we go live in the future. And make sure you spin those laces for us. You'll notice if you hit the like button on the channel, it'll spin a football. Pretty cool little emoji there. Everybody in the chat's been talking about it. I know we had several people commenting earlier on videos about it. It's a pretty cool little feature. So everybody in the chat right now, hit that like button, spin those laces.
Let's go. Hum that tater. Hum that tater.
Exactly right. All right, let's jump into the PFF preview, Tim. Let's start with our offense against this great Vance Joseph defense. We did the breakdown. Really what you got is 2 top 5 defenses that are going to be playing on Sunday. And I mean, this could arguably be the game of the year right here. Many people, including Coach Gruden, are saying that they feel like this could be a Super Bowl preview, as a matter of fact, which is really, really interesting to think about.
I'm all for anytime the Green Bay Packers and Super Bowl are mentioned in the same sentence. I'll take that.
Absolutely. So when we go into our 11 personnel, boy, do these look good right here, Tim. My goodness gracious. Let's just dive into it. I don't know if you can see that okay or not. Let me try to zoom in just a touch for you guys and guys. It's about the best I can do. So let's start with the quarterback and the running back for the Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love, 89.9 the second highest graded quarterback in the entire National Football League. Josh Jacobs, 85.7, the fourth highest graded running back in all the National Football League. You got to tip your cap to Goody. You draft Jordan Love while you had a first ballot slam dunk, however many was a 4-time MVP in Aaron Rodgers, and you go out and you draft Jordan Love, you let him sit for a couple years, and then you just work him right into the system, and now he's considered a top 3 quarterback. Some say he's got the potential to be the best quarterback in the league. On top of that, you go out and you get Josh Jacobs, and everybody was a little like, oh no, because you're obviously letting our boy Aaron Jones go. Josh Jacobs is now grading out as the 4th best running back in the league. It's just absolutely awesome to see how they put this together. Now, when we look at the offensive line from left to right, you got Rasheed Walker, 66, Aaron Banks, 59, Sean Ryan, 57, Anthony Belton, 41, and Zach Tom, 83. So Walker continues to play decent football. Zach Tom is just a dominant right tackle. You love to see that. Some people believe that Belton is playing better than the 41.2. I don't think he's playing quite that bad, Tim, but there are some that think he's just playing lights out. I don't believe that. When I turn on the tape, I don't see a guy who's just a dominant right guard right now. And again, he's a rookie. It's going to take time.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, Clay. I think he's better than the 41.2 grade, but I don't think he's, lights out. Somewhere in the middle of those.
Yeah, because 40, you see 41 and you think, oh my God, he's one of. I mean, they're basically saying there's only 3 other guards that's worse than him, right? That's what they're saying there, and I do not believe that. However, I definitely don't think he's he's one of these that you go, okay, yeah, he could start on all 32 teams at right guard. Sure. I just don't feel like that for sure. So that's our offensive line. Let's take a look at their defensive line. Nick Bonito, 12.5 sacks on the year. This is a Tuesday player. I know the PFF grades don't really suggest it. He's a 69.7 this year. Last year, a 78.8, 64 before that, 52 before that. So obviously he got better up to last year, taking a slight step back in terms of PFF, but the 12.5 sacks, obviously this dude is getting after the freaking quarterback. He's probably the most important piece, one of the most important pieces of this defense that's arguably the best defense in the league. Maybe them, Seattle, a couple other teams being mentioned, including the Green Bay Packers there in the top 5. But you got Bonito, 69, Allen at defensive tackle. Again, this is their nickel formation here, okay? Their nickel set. Zach Allen, a 58.1. Nothing to really write home about there. Franklin Myers with a 58.4. This seems to be the worst year of his career, so he's seems to be struggling right now. And then, of course, on the opposite side, you got Jonathan Cooper. He's been pretty steady throughout his career, 69, 63, 65, 68. And then this year, he's got a 66 PFF grade. So when you look at this defensive line from a PFF standpoint, Tim, I don't look at them and go, oh, yeah, that's a dominant defensive line. But again, PFF isn't everything. This right. Team is a good defense. They're a solid defense for a reason, right? So how do you feel like we match up there in the trenches, man?
Yeah, I think Bonito is that dude over there. So if we have to send help or a chip over there to help Sheed contain that edge rush, I'm all for it. But again, like I kind of said last week against Chicago, man, run this freaking football right at the center of that D-line. Let's pound the rock in the middle. And, look at Allen. Can you click on Allen again? His run grade was like 30-something. Yeah, 34.2 run defensive grade. Oh, my God. Let's get some inside zone going. Let's run the ball in the middle and put some pressure on them and see if we can create off of that.
And when you switch their base 3-4, it doesn't get much better, right? I mean, you basically got Allen, Roach, and Franklin Myers. So Roach is their traditional nose tackle at 54.2. The thing that I would push back on, though, Tim, is, again, they've got the best rush defense in the league. They're literally giving up 3.7 yards per carry, which makes you look at these and go, what's PFF smart? Like, what's going on here? How are you that far off? How are they grading that bad, but yet they're only giving up 3.7 yards per carry? I agree with you. Go out there and try to run right into the teeth of it. See if you can establish a run, right?
I'd almost feel better trying to run into the teeth of that defense than trying to bounce it off the edge. I mean, you look at their backers and then their corners and safeties. I'd rather count it that the weakest link might be the interior of that D-line, and it's not by much.
Yeah, definitely. So Dre Greenlaw is their stack backer here. And I don't know how many snaps he's gotten on the year. Looks like he just came back from injury in week 7. So what's he got? About 240 snaps roughly. Well, 230 snaps, I should say, is what he's got on the year. Now, you guys know Dre Greenlaw is a dominant player when he's healthy. Obviously, he had that happen there in San Francisco. He ended up signing with Denver fresh off the injury, if I remember correctly. So he is a solid backer, obviously, right? And then you got Singleton grading out as the 34th best backer at 68. So you got Greenlaw 82, Singleton 68. This is in their nickel look, right? And the last 3 years he's gotten better, right? 61, 62, 68. But still, you don't look at that guy and go, oh yeah, he's a dominant stack backer. Again, that's what's going to be matching up against Josh Jacobs at 85.7. And then, of course, Luke Musgrave's starting to amp it up a little bit. Although, if we do switch this to a 12 personnel real quick, you'll see Fitzpatrick coming to the fold of the 57.1. And obviously, I don't know what PFF is on right here because Josh Wiley starts over both of these guys, to be honest with you. So, I don't look at their stack back. I look at this defense and I go, what makes them so good? Well, Benito's getting after the quarterback, right? Their strength of schedule, if we were to hop back real quick on the summary, let's see if it shows their strength of schedule real quick. I should have done that first, but they're
towards the bottom, right? 28th or 29th, something like that.
Let's see here. I know they've got it listed here somewhere. Strength of schedule. Okay, right in here's where it usually is. Okay, so yeah, they're the 28th toughest schedule. So yeah, they haven't played a very tough schedule at all. The Packers are sitting at 15 right now. So maybe that's why, right? Maybe they played some bad teams. I mean, when you look at who they've played so far, right? And obviously they're racking up the win total. And you can only play the guys on your schedule. I get it. But here it is starting week 1. Win over the Titans. They lost to the Colts. They lost to the Chargers. They beat the Bengals without Burrow. They did beat the Eagles on the road. I mean, you got to tip your cap there. We lost to the Eagles, right? They beat the Jets by 2 points. They beat the Giants by 1 point. They beat the Cowboys by 20 points. We tied the Cowboys, right? On the road in Houston, they did win that game. Houston's got one of the best defenses in the league. The fact that you somehow, some way pulled out a win there on the road is pretty impressive. Raiders 10-7, they won that game. Not a nice win there. The Chiefs have been down all year. They beat them by 3 points. At the Commanders, they squeaked by with a 1-point win. They beat the Raiders by 7 points. So I can see how you look at it and go, yeah, they've got a weak schedule, or they've had a weak schedule, I should say. But at the same time, man, there's a couple of solid teams in there that they beat. Like I said, you get it all the way back to week 5. But if we did a 4-game saturation like the coaches do, here are the teams they beat the last 4 games. They beat the Raiders by 3 points, the Chiefs by 3 points, the Commanders by 1 point, and the Raiders by 7 points. You don't look at any of those wins and go, wow, that was a great win. You just don't.
No, it's true. And again, like going from that, their defense against the run standpoint, if you go to those last 4 games, I mean, what's the biggest rushing threat they face? Kansas City, probably.
Right.
Out of those last 4.
They're probably playing from behind the whole game like they have been, right?
Exactly. So. And if you go back a little further, they beat Philly. I'm sure Philly can run the ball when they want to.
Although their running game is down this year too,
has been kind of bad, especially the last 4-game saturation for them. So yeah, I mean, you never know, but I do know this: it's a Sean Payton coach football team, right? I mean, at the end of the day, these guys are going to be ready to play, and I think the thing that makes them good, at least from a defensive standpoint, and which may be why your eyes kind of don't believe the numbers sometimes, is it seems like everywhere that they might have a weakness or a hole, they have a strength to back it up in another area. I mean, you look at their backers and their secondary, it kind of makes up for a quote unquote weakness in the middle of that D line, and I'm sure, we're going to continue to break this down with corners and backers and safeties, but numbers don't lie, but they can also be deceiving, right? A good football team finds a way to win, and this is going to be a treat on Sunday to see the Packers go up against this top tier defense here.
I love it, dude. We got a Broncos fan in here. We got to hit it. All right. I love it. I love it when we got newcomers that don't watch the channel. So number 2 in run D, right? We just showed you, okay, who have they played against? And listen, I think Denver's a good team. I want to be completely upfront here. We talked about it all week. So it's funny they got a fan coming in here talking. Good luck. Bring your lunch. We'll definitely screen grab that one. So listen, you guys may beat it. We say it every week. You may beat us, right? But I bet if we beat you, you don't have enough hair on your ass to jump back in this chat in the post-game show and talk about it. I bet you don't, right? And I love this. This is my favorite. Y'all don't know because y'all don't watch film or games.
Bro, are you new here? Oh, wait, that's right. You are new here.
Oh, boy. That's probably my favorite one because we lose subs because we watch so much tape on the show. Absolutely hilarious. So let me just get a couple screen grabs here real quick, Tim, if you'll excuse me. We got those. All right, that's logged. Let's go ahead and store that in here. So, again, we'll see you after the game, man. You may be coming in here running a victory lap, or you probably won't show up if the Broncos do somehow, some way lose this ball game. That's
Heard it from a fan right here.
Notice how that works, Tim?
Yep.
The ones who come in talking crap, and when they lose the game, we're always in here, win or lose. They just don't seem to show back up, man. Funny how that works. So, yeah. So we got the screen grab. We're good. So looking at the other strengths of their defense, this top, like we said, top 3 defense in the league. Let's move along to their cornerback room. So you got Patrick Surtain Jr., right? The second there, 69.9, having a solid season. You've got Moss on the opposite side of the 61.4. He's grading out as the 58th best corner. And then in the slot, McMillan, Jaquan McMillan out of East Carolina. This dude's playing really good football this year. Throughout his career, 68, 68, 60, 76. He's the 8th highest graded cornerback in the league. Obviously, he's playing slot corner as well. Got a 90.5 pass rush grade, which is inflating that overall defensive grade a touch, right? However, the coverage grade's a 71. The run defense grade's a 73. It's almost like a mirror image of Bull, to be honest with you. That kind of looks like some of Bullard's grades this year. So that's how their cornerback room stacks up. Now, at safety, they've got Hufanga, who is a solid safety. Throughout his career, 63, 72, 70, 57, and this year 75, having his best year according to PFF, former 5th-round pick. Yep. And then the opposite safety is Brandon Jones, a 62.5, who last year he was the 4th highest graded safety in the league, so he's having a down year there, obviously taking a step back, former Texas Longhorn. Now, when you look at our receiving room here, boy, it's looking pretty, Tim. Christian Watson's now the 5th highest graded receiver in the league with an 87.0, been absolutely dominant since he's came back from that ACL, a receiving grade of 89.0. The Bears learned the hard way last week. 4 targets, 4 catches, 2 tutters, I think 80-some yards receiving, if I remember correctly. Jaden Reed made his debut, or not debut, but his return since week 2, first football he's played. And, man, he's off to a great start. Receiving grade on the year, 83.0. Offensive grade of 82.9 last week. Again, you could just see it right off the bat, Tim. When he was in the game, that coverage started to clamp down a little bit. And then when they had to go back on Christian, all of a sudden Jaden Reed's running butt-naked through the trailer park. It's a different offense when Jaden Reed's on the field. I mean, you put him and Christian both out there, my goodness, man. So that's how that stacks up. They still got Dobby listed as the X, although I think Dobbs didn't get a catch last week, if I remember correctly. But still, Dobbs is one of the most consistent receivers we've had in a long time. 68.7 PFF or receiving grade, 66.2 overall offensive PFF grade. So he played 43 snaps last week. Wasn't really showcased in the game much, but obviously out there running the routes on a consistent basis. So it's going to be the Jaden Reed, Christian Watson show if you attack through the air. And let's hope we can establish a run early is kind of how I'm feeling about this, Tim. What do you think about our receivers matching up with their DBs before we move on to the defensive side of the ball?
Yeah, I feel pretty good about it. And I think when you look at their safeties in particular, real similar to how we roll. They're not scared to put either one of those guys in the box. They seem pretty interchangeable. But when it comes to the corners, I mean, Patrick Surtain, that's the dude that I got my eyes on. I have a feeling we're going to see him lined up across Scoot more than once on Sunday, and that'll be fun to watch. But at the end of the day, like you said, we got Bird back in the mix, and he's not returning punts or kicks, so that's a good thing. He's able to work himself into this offense, and then it goes without saying, but I'll say it anyways. Don Wick, Tay Wicks, man, that's another guy we didn't really talk about. He was the hero on Turkey Day for us, and a guy that you shouldn't sleep on. So the depth will be on full display here on Sunday. And I think if we make a concerted effort to establish a running game and we put the Broncos in a situation where they have to account for it, it's going to open things up for all these receivers and receiving threats that we have.
Yeah, and I will say this, on the post-game show, we were a little bit baffled that, man, Wicks just came off of that solid game, right? And then he didn't – it was like he when did you see him on the field against Chicago? You didn't see it much, right? Same thing with Matthew Golden. He only played 5 or 6 snaps. It sounded like Wicks was banged up, right? Matt talked about that in his presser. It was like, Dontavion was not feeling 100%, and they tried to work him in here or there. But so that explained why he wasn't more involved, or else he probably would have gotten more touches. That explains how Jaden Reed got showcased maybe a little more than they might have wanted to, although, boy, did it work out for the Packers. So Again, I like the way our passing game matches up here pretty good. The Broncos are a solid defense. I think this is going to be a lower scoring game. They got like the 16th or 17th scoring offense in terms of points per play. So I could see our defense, being able to control their offense, but I can also see their defense being able to control our offense. So it's one of those things that I wouldn't be surprised. Like as we looked at that over under, what would you say? 42.5, Tim? Is that what it was?
Yeah, something like that. 42.5, I think. Yeah.
On the surface, I want to say the under is more appealing, but also it's supposed to be 60 degrees, or I think by the end of the game, it's going to be in the 40s. So it's not going to be bitterly cold or anything. So I could also see it being something where the weather's playing into a little bit higher scoring game if you want to throw that thing around the yard. And the other advantage that Denver has as we get ready to shift gears and jump into their offense against our defenses, they're used to that altitude, right? Yeah. They're conditioned for it. We're not. And their quarterbacks probably understand how the ball carries there when you're throwing the football. Airs will have to make a little bit of adjustment in Jordan Love. But, again, just put enough air under that thing to give you guys a shot to make a play is the main thing. So is there anything else you want to hear between our offense and their defense?
No, I think we hit on it. And I think that's a great point that you made there, Clayton, too. Like the weather's probably not going to be a factor, but altitude is altitude, right? They play out there in the Rockies. We don't. Emmanuel Wilson's familiar. Brandon McManus is familiar, but that's pretty much it. So maybe we're wrong. This could be a 50 or 60 point over under when we see it on Sunday. You never know. They could be slinging that thing around the yard all day long for all we know.
Yeah, definitely. J. Cole in the chat said, no one said the Broncos was a bad team. I can't stand emotional fans. Amen. Amen. The little man syndrome, it comes out in them, don't it, Jay? It does. So, all right, that's going to do it for our PFF preview. Packers offense against the Broncos defense. If you guys are watching this back later, let us know in the comments. How do you feel about how the Packers match up? Are we maybe not giving the Packers enough credit? Are we giving them too much credit? How do you think they're going to match up against the Broncos defense? Again, it's a solid defense, top 3 defense in the league. Something's got to give. We showed you the teams they beat, especially the last 4 games. Either we're going to come out of this game going, they're legit, and the Packers got a little bit of work to do, or we're going to go, yep, they just haven't played anybody, right? It's going to be really, really interesting to see how this one unfolds. And like Tim said, let us know in the comments what you think about Sean Payton, one of the more decorated coaches in the league. But make sure you hit like, subscribe, and click that bell icon so you're notified when we go live in the near future. And everybody in the chat, do us a quick favor. Let's boost that algae. Hit that like button for us. Spin them laces real quick, and we greatly appreciate that. Before we move on here, Tim, Whataburger with the super chat. Blood transfusions before kickoff could give us the edge. I don't know if he's being serious or not. That's way above my pay grade there, Tim. You think that's something that's going on there?
I don't know. I'm not a doctor, but I can speculate on what he's talking about, though. I mean, I'm assuming he's talking about your blood flow when you're at altitude, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Adjusting. So, yeah, I guess. I mean, that'd be a bit extreme. I doubt that they're going to be going that hard for this matchup. Maybe get there a little early and acclimate yourself to the altitude during walkthrough. But I don't think they're going to be busting out the syringe packs or anything like that. So,
yeah. And, he says, I'm just kidding. But I've heard of people, I've got friends who have flown out to the Rockies and stuff. And they said as soon as they landed in the high altitude, they would be sick for like a half a day.
Yeah.
Because it took their body a second to adjust, so they'd almost get nauseous. I can't remember what they called it. I want to say it might have
probably vertigo.
I want to say it might have been like blood sickness or something. Like it was something weird. I was like, "What is that? It sounds horrible." Well, no, it's just your body adjusting to the altitude, and you're nauseous for 6 to 12 hours. So it's like, okay,
wash your hands, wash your butt, man. That's it. That's all.
That always helps too. But thank you for that super chat, Howling. We appreciate you, buddy. All right, Tim, let's shift gears, man, and let's talk our defense against their offense. Let's go with the nickel set first. Obviously, this is their 11 personnel against our nickel 4-2-5, and we got different variations of this, obviously, when it comes to how we play these 3 wide receiver sets. So let's look at their offense first and foremost. Bo Nix, 73.0. He's the 16th highest graded quarterback in the league. I feel like when you take everything into account with Bo Nix, last year, solid rookie year, right? And then second year, they usually take a step back. If this is the step back, that's an indicator Bo Nix is going to be a great quarterback. He's still grading out as the 16th best quarterback. And you look at some other analytics, you could make a case for him being like top 12. And Sean Payton, that's good enough to win with for sure. In the backfield next to him, they've got Harvey listed here. RJ Harvey, a 72.4, a second-round pick out of UCF. I'd like to see where we had him on our draft board if I can do it without too much dead air here. Give me a second. Yeah, RJ Harvey, we had an 88.7 on Tim, so we had him worthy of a top 90 pick, so a third-round pick essentially. They took him a little bit higher than that with the second-round 60th selection there. So RJ Harvey, 72.4. Their running game is pretty solid, if I remember correctly, too, in some of the rankings. I don't have them pulled up right now. But their offensive line, man, one of the best in the game. You got Bowles here, if I'm saying that right, Garrett Bowles. Former first-round pick in 2017. This guy looks like a get-off-the-bus guy, don't it? Look like he just got out of the clink, right?
Oh, yeah. He looked like he was an extra on the longest yard, for sure.
He does. He really does. 89.3 on the year, the third highest-graded tackle. He's playing great football. At left guard, boy, this is going to be a tough one. How would you say that? Pikachu? Is that how you say it? Close enough.
Alzewski, I'm going to guess. That's channeling my inner Wisco Polak, version to help translate, I don't know.
52.5 at left guard. Looks like he was an undrafted free agent. You got Wattenberg, all right, or Wattenberg, however you say it. Yeah, out of Washington, former fifth-round pick. He's grading out a 67.7. Not bad there at the center position. And then you got, is this Meneers? They get the weirdest names on their offense. We got people like Zach Tom, right?
Yeah, right.
Elton Jenkins, Sean Ryan,
Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, they got this is unbelievable. So anyway, he's the highest graded guard in football right now out of Wisconsin, Whitewater. That's really, really interesting. Powell, that don't help me any. How do you say that?
Alzewski. Jen Wright's got the translation. There we go.
So the XI is a V, is that right?
I guess.
There you go.
I'm going to trust Jen on this one.
Yeah,
sure.
You heard it from a fan right here. I have no clue. You know me. I speak English at a third grade level, so it is what it is. But I know this, man. This dude has had one hell of a career so far. He's done nothing but get better every year. 67, 77, 83, 87, 90. I mean, best right guard in football according to PFF. And then, of course, McGlinchey, who's listed as questionable with that shoulder injury out of Notre Dame, know who he is. He's a monster of a man, 6'8", 315, the 9th overall selection. I want to say he was drafted – was it San Francisco, I believe? I think he was drafted there, if I remember correctly. And then he signed in free agency with Denver, if I remember right. But he's been solid his entire career, man. 74, 70, 79, 69, 70, 67, 72, 74. Just a very, very consistent football player. If he doesn't go at right tackle, Tim, that could cause a few problems for Denver. Now, they like to get the ball out. I want to say they're a big yak team, too. They got a lot of yak yardage. So Bo Nix getting the ball out of his hand fairly quick and letting his playmakers make plays after the catch. The good thing about this matchup for us is the Packers are allowing the fewest yak yards in the entire league last I checked. So that's something that kind of, okay, we got a little bit of the matchup there. We're really good at tackling. We're really good at flowing to the football in those short passes, right? And we don't give up a whole lot of explosives in the pass game as well. So that's how their offensive line looks against our defensive line. And our nickel, this is going to be the nickel cheetah package, okay? Enigbare, 63.3. Micah Parsons, 91.7. They're showing Baron Sorrell there as if we're putting all edges in. Obviously, that is going to be Colby Wooden for the most part, a little bit of Carl Brooks as well. I think Carl Brooks had more snaps than Colby Wooden did last week against Chicago. Rashawn Gary is 67.1. So obviously he's the run-stopping edge there, kind of setting the edge, top defender. Enigbare's got a little more freedom to go after the quarterback when he's in. Micah Parsons just off to another great year here, man. It's unbelievable looking at his career grades. 89, 91, 92, 90, 91. Just such a dominant force on the defensive line. So how do you feel like we match up here? If I were to flip over to base real quick, Tim, just to give you a little bit better idea, there's Wooden with a 57.1. That's more or less what our nickel 4-2-5 front's going to look like, probably 60 or 70% of the snaps. How do you feel about how our defensive line shapes up against their offensive line, one of the best in the league?
I feel like I'm excited to see these two teams play football on Sunday. I scratch my head and wonder what's the best approach. We talked about taking the cage rush approach, last week against Caleb, but Bo Nix can stand in the pocket and deliver the football. So, I think you have to have a balanced attack against this front. If the pass rush isn't getting home with 4, then maybe you dial up some blitzes here and there, but I don't know. It's to me, it's a wash. I think this is one of those any given Sunday type of scenarios, especially in the trenches. I believe in our guys. We have versatility despite the injuries that we have on the D line, and I think our big dogs are gonna answer the call for sure in this one.
Yeah, and everybody's asking like who is their backup tackle. We're showing a Frank Crum, who was an undrafted free agent in 2024.
Who?
So he played right tackle in week 7 and 8, but he's played left tackle after that, just kind of filling in here or there. So other than him, man, I don't really. I'm trying to kind of take a glance. Maybe they kick a guard in there. Maybe that's their approach. I don't know. I kind of feel like too that McGlinchey's going to play, Tim.
I was thinking that too because he's questionable, right? Was that his status?
Yeah,
I would think if it was, he'd probably be a doubtful if he wasn't going to go. So we'll see.
Yeah. I can see that. All right. So again, RJ Harvey is their running back. They've got Evan Ingram playing tight end, 6'3", 240, former first round pick. He played really good football last year, really the last 2 years, 71, 72. This year he's down to a 58. And it looks like he is playing here recently. He's played pretty much all year long. He had 27 snaps last week. So if we were to go to their base package and just see what they run here, they're showing 21 over 12. So when they go to a 21 set, they may have this Prentice, if I'm saying that right, Adam Prentice or Prentice, 62.4, playing kind of a fullback role there, number 46. And then their other base package will be 12 personnel where you bring in Troutman. Troutman, I think, I was going to say he was a bigger tight end, 6'5", 253 out of Dayton, former third-round pick in 2020. Not great grades, but that's another big body tight end if they want to go into 12 personnel a little bit more. So that's their tight ends and their running back, obviously. How do they stack up against our stack backers? In our base 4-3, McDuffie is still our highest graded linebacker at a 77.0. That's 11th best in the league. Second is Edgerrin Cooper at a 75.1. That's 19th best in the league. And Quay Walker, who pretty much played every snap last week, I think all snaps but one, he will be starting over McDuffie. He's sitting at a 54.1.
I'm pretty much going to ignore the 54.1 grade on Quay Walker.
There you go. So when you look at our stack backers against their running game, right, and their running backs, you really like the way we shape up here, man, because Gary is a very good run defending defensive edge, right? We know Parsons is playing the run way better than he was advertised by the Dallas Cowboys. As soon as they traded him, all of a sudden he's horrible at everything, right? Is the way people are talking. Yep. So I look at the teams that were supposed to run the football all over us, Tim, right? That was Detroit on Thanksgiving. Jahmyr Gibbs is going to go off, right? We contained him just fine. Last week it was, well, now we got a two-headed monster, right? With the Chicago Bears. Well, we stopped their running game as well. They didn't get one explosive run all day long. So I feel comfortable saying that we can stop their run. I really do. And when it comes to their passing game, they've got a solid wide receiver in Cortland Sutton, right? He's been as steady as anyone. I mean, you see the grades across his career, 64, 83, 72, 71, 69, 75, 75, and then this year he's grading a 73.8, 6'4", 216. Probably get a jump ball or two if we put him in a one-on-one situation. Probably need to bend a little quarters look to his side. If you want to go into the cover 6, make sure the quarter is shaded to his side. Don't get too cute trying to cover the crossers with a cover 9 look or anything like that. Just make sure you got enough bodies around Sutton so he can't destroy you. And then, of course, you've got Troy Franklin on the other side, 6'3", 187. PFF says he's nothing to write home about. And then, of course, when we go to the 11 personnel and our nickel defense, they've got Mims Juniors. They got Marvin Mims Jr. in the slot, 64.3 is where he sits right now. Now, last week, 20 snaps is what he had essentially, Tim, 20 snaps. So that tells you they're probably in that base package quite a bit. I'd like to see just to make a quick little reference, I should have done it already. How many snaps did Troutman have last week? Yeah, look at this, Tim. He had 55 snaps last week. Adam Troutman did. Evan Ingram only had 27. So Troutman is actually their most used tight end when you look at it that way. And then if we flexed it back to the 21 personnel, Prentice, look at him. He played 30 snaps, right? Yeah, 30 snaps last week. So you get a lot of 21 and 12 looks, evidently, man. So that is what they're going to be working out of. Probably some nasty splits there, too, I would imagine. That's
looks like a Sean Payton offense to me, right?
Yeah, no doubt, man. No doubt about it. Now, let's look at we talked about the receivers. Let's see how our cornerbacks match up against them, right? Leading the way for the Packers, the highest graded corner we got is Javon Bullard. Of course, he's the slot corner, 69.5. He is continuing to have a great year for the Packers. Coverage grades now up to a 72.1.
He's a grown-ass man now. And
he's really stepping into his own, man. And you can see it all over the tape. He's a spark plug. He plays with just a level of aggressivity, if you will. This dude, he is comfortable out there playing slot corner, way more comfortable than obviously playing the safety position there his rookie year. Keyshawn Nixon, 69.4 is his grade on the year. Now, obviously, he had the game-saving interception last week in Chicago. What a great play that was. Man coverage, broke off of his guy, recognizing we had busted a coverage. Evan Williams clamped down on the flat. He recovers and just takes the game away from Caleb Williams. What an awesome play that was. So he's riding this high of momentum right now, Tim, where Keyshawn, he's probably got more confidence in himself than he's ever had. And, of course, you got Carrington Valentine on the opposite side at a 68.2, still playing solid ball. Essentially what you've got is two corners that are grading out as top 32 corners, and the other would be one of the best number 2 corners in the game. So that's PFF, of course. But how do you think we match up here cornerback-wise with the receivers before we jump into the safety room?
Again, I know this sounds redundant, but I think we match up really well. Like we said, these are two great football teams that are going to bang heads. I'm looking forward to seeing CV out there and how he handles this game because, like you said, he's kind of the one that we all have our eyes on, waiting for him to kind of, break out, so to speak, even though he, one could argue he's already done that. Yeah. But I think if CV stays disciplined and plays the way that I know he's capable of, I think he's going to look good against Cortland Sutton in this game.
Yeah, and if people, if they're Bronco fans that are watching the show for the first time and tuning in, first of all, welcome. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. If you looked at this and go, Carrington Valentine, 7th round pick, 68.2, Cortland Sutton's going to eat. The Steelers fans said the same thing about DK Metcalf. Yeah. And Valentine pretty much shut Metcalf down, which is wild. I didn't expect that. Carrington's a dog. Don't get me wrong. He's a scrappy player, and I expect him to play good football. But I did not expect. I mean, he had DK Metcalf like aggravated. The coverage was so sticky, and his ability to play the ball. So I feel really good about both Keyshawn. I feel more comfortable with Carrington covering Cortland Sutton than I do Keyshawn personally. To be honest,
I would agree. Yeah. I'd agree with that, and that's not a knock on K9. I think K9's playing the best football he's played as a pro right now at this point. Really hitting his stride.
Yeah, definitely. So. Carrington, there you go with the 68.2. That's how we match up. Now, the safety room is where we really separate ourselves, right? We're as solid as anyone when it comes to the safety room. 75.2 for Xavier McKinney. He's the 13th highest graded safety in the game right now. And then Evan Williams continues to get better. 73.9 is his PFF grade now. So he is better than he was last year, according to PFF. I feel like he's playing very comfortable. This right here, that run defense grade of 80.4, Tim, that's one of the unsung heroes. Really, both of them, both him and Xavier McKinney, are the reason that we have such a good run defense, man. I mean, look at those run defense grades. And most of the time, they're trying to show a shell look or they're sugaring a spur look, dropping him out and bringing the other one down, right? It's really, really cool to see how he's picked up. Evan Williams has picked up Xavier McKinney's tendencies and learning how to sugar and how to wait to the last second to sell it and then build up that head of steam. If you are the spur safety, if you are the robber, if you are the buzz defender, you can really get downhill and play the run effectively, man. I love the way this defense is playing. But, yeah, I really like the way we match up, man. And, again, this is just PFF, and you can't ignore the team rankings. We broke them down earlier today. This is a good football team. This is one of the best defenses in the league but we definitely have the better offense. They've got the better running game, according to yards per carry. We've got the better everything else, turnover margin, passing game, all that, right? So we've got the edge on offense. They've got the slight edge on defense. So it's one of those games that I think it's really going to come down to the wire, man. It's going to be fun.
I agree. And I think we're going to get another MVP caliber performance from J Money, the dime thrower. Mr. wears number 10 because he only throws dimes. You talked about the weather, being kind of nice considering this time of year. A little break for the fellas to, maybe 50, 60 degrees, high 40s, something like that throughout the game. If you can deal with the altitude and get yourself acclimated, Jordan might be letting that thing fly all around the yard. So I'm looking forward to it.
Absolutely. I agree, man. The other thing, too, when you look at some of these games and what Tim's talking about, how we kind of lucked up with this Denver weather, I was expecting it to be cold, possibly snowing, a little bit windy up there in the Rockies, right? Instead, we're going out there, and they were saying it might be 60 degrees at kickoff and drop into the 40s by the end of the game. Chicago is dealing with minus 20 wind chill in their game against Cleveland, right? They're expecting snow in New England this week. There's like 2 or 3 different games I was looking at earlier, just kind of looking at the forecast. The Bears and Browns game at Chicago, 10 degrees at kickoff is what they're saying. Ravens at the Bengals, 11 degrees at kickoff. That's in Cincy. Chargers at the Chiefs, 17 degrees at kickoff. The Bills at the Patriots, 31 degrees. They're expecting snow showers. Commanders at the New York Giants, so they're playing up there in East Rutherford, New Jersey, 30 degrees at kickoff. Raiders at the Eagles, 27. That's wild. And then you'd see Packers at Broncos and think, oh, it's going to be cold too. 62 degrees. What you're saying? This is wild, man. So we really have caught a little bit of a break there. I'm excited about it too, because again, that warmer weather and dome weather too, Tim, it tends to kind of play into our strength and the way that Matt wants to throw on first downs, things like that,
Absolutely. That's why I said, like, the run game, as far as I'm concerned, again, establish a run game, keep that defense honest. You're going up against a top tier defense. You've got to be able to run the football, but take your shots when you get them, and we know Matt's going to scheme guys open. And I fully expect the California kid, Jay Money, to do his thing out there in that nice weather for sure.
Yeah. When you look at their passing defense, just real quick, if we were to take a quick gander at it, yards per pass attempt allowed, we are both tied for third best in the league at only 5.6 yards per pass attempt allowed. Okay. When it comes to sacks, I want to say that's where they probably have the edge on us there in passing defense. Sack percentage for Denver, they're number 1 in the league at 10.8% sack rate. That's phenomenal. So that's definitely going to be the key to this game, is protecting Jordan Love, establish the run, protect Jordan Love, get the ball out of his hands as quick as possible. Their passing defense is solid. Essentially what you've got here too, and we'll wrap up with this, Tim, the underlying story here that a lot of people aren't talking about, you've got Jeff Hafley, defensive coordinator for the Packers, Vance Joseph, defensive coordinator for the Broncos. These are 2 guys that are going to be at the top of the head coaching searching list in the offseason. We're going to be hearing those 2 names interviewed for this, interviewed for that, interviewed for this, interviewed for that, all offseason long. It's going to be really cool. And they know that. Yeah. They want to one-up the other one in this game. So I think you're going to get the best version of both Vance Joseph and Jeff Hafley in this game. So it's probably going to come down to protecting the football, I would imagine, man. I think that's probably the number one thing. And again, when we talk about turnover margin per game, as it sits right now, Green Bay is 8th best in the league at a plus 0.3 turnover margin. Denver is 21st at a minus 0.2. All right. Now, how do you get to that point? If you go back into turnovers and we say giveaways per game, Green Bay is tied for first in the league at 0.6 giveaways per game. That is the best in the National Football League. Denver is tied for 8th, giving away 1 turnover per game. Now, in terms of takeaways, and then we'll wrap up, turnovers, takeaways per game, Green Bay is currently sitting in the, where are you at? 25th spot at 0.9 takeaways per game. Denver is in the 27th spot at 0.8. So the turnover margin kind of feels like a push here, right? Yeah. But we do protect the football a little bit better than they do. We're both taking it away pretty bad this year. in terms of just, stacked up against the rest of the league. So it's going to be interesting, man. It's going to be a fun game. Is there anything else you want to hit before we wrap up, man? Anything at all?
Yeah, just to piggyback off of that, I think it's going to, really come down to how this O-line plays. We talked about the kind of ups and downs we've had on that O-line. And we talk about Denver's defensive front. It's going to be, paramount for this O-line group to protect Jay Money, and we know Jordan can handle the pressure. Just watch the tape from last week, pass rushers in his face, fearless, delivering dimes down the field. We know Jordan is great against pressure. However, I think, the better this O-line group plays against Denver, the better off we're going to be. So you're right. It's going to come down to who protects the football and doesn't turn it over in this game. Because just like we said last week, this could be one of those games where the team that turns the ball over is the team that's going to lose. You got to be +1 in the turnover battle for sure. Absolutely.
Donovan Schilling in the chat, 103 watching, only 63 likes, 40 Bears fans in here shaking my head. If you guys would spin those laces for us real quick, hit that like button as we get ready to wrap up here. Appreciate everybody hanging out with us. Appreciate everybody that swung through all day long. I'll be back again tomorrow. I'm going to go live during the day, probably a couple of times. I got a couple of things. I want to look at Jordan Love versus Bo Nix tomorrow. I'm going to kind of dive into a quick little 15-minute episode for y'all throughout the day. There will be no show tomorrow night. We're going to go hang out with the family. Got a family event we're going to go to. So no show tomorrow night, but we'll try to get you a couple live streams throughout the day when I get a little break in my schedule tomorrow. So, Tim, it's good to have you back, buddy. Appreciate you swinging through. And, we're going to get out of here, guys. Do me a favor. Hit that like button, hit subscribe, click the bell icon so you're notified whenever we go live. If you are new here, we greatly, greatly appreciate y'all hanging out with us this evening. So everybody have a wonderful evening. My name's Clayton. That's Tim. This is PTA. Go Pack, go.
There we go.
Nice.
Bye, guys.